Hello, and welcome to our show for the love of animal, Paducah's on Animal Planet. We have a great show for you today about our local Paducah police dogs. I'm Darleen Pigford.
And I'm Greg Baur, and we want to tell our viewers of a couple of upcoming shows. My Favorite Things, which is something we did last year, and we've embellished it a little bit this year. And then we have a show that we've done in the past called Grooming, and how to get in particular with your dog. So hopefully you'll stay tuned and view it for that. But Darleen, you mentioned already that we have something dealing with police dogs today.
Yes, Greg, today is our dog show. We're going to feature both the officers and the dogs that on our local police force and tell you about exactly what these wonderful dogs are doing. Do the introductions, Greg.
I'll be happy to. Wicket and I will both handle the introductions today. He's one of our regulars. To Darlene's right, we have Captain Mark Roberts. And to Mark's right, we have K-9 Officer Rob Hefner. They're both members of the Paducah Police Department. And Rob, at this point, is with the K-9 unit. Mark has done some time, as you'll hear, with that unit in the past. And they will have some wonderful stories. And gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us today.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Well, first of all, tell us, what is a K-9 officer? How do you get to be a K-9 officer?
Well, it's kind of a long process. And
okay.
When an opening comes up, you put in your memo, per se, and you put your qualifications in. Why do you think you're going to be a good officer? What do you have to bring to the department as a K-9 officer?
And how long have you been a K-9 officer?
I've been a K-9 officer with the city for 4.5 years.
And where do you get your dog?
Ronnie, which is my dog, comes from the Netherlands, actually. He's from overseas, and he comes to a kennel in Indiana. And the kennels that we use to get the dogs, and we go up there, pick them out as far as which one best suits you, which one the temperament for what job we're wanting for. And we just go from there.
And what kind of job does Ronnie do?
He is what we call in law enforcement a dual-purpose dog, in that he sniffs out drugs, and also he does patrol work. In the patrol work, he does handler protection, he does tracking, he does apprehension work, and just a multitude of things as far as area searches.
Okay. I'm curious, what made you pick Ronnie?
Well,
back at the kennels.
It's a funny story. Mark and I went to the kennels in Indiana, and there's probably a run of 100 dogs. And when we were walking down the aisle, Ronnie was just sitting there looking at me. And I was like, that's the dog I want in the back seat. And a lot of the other ones were barking and carrying on, and he was just sitting looking. I was like, that's my dog. And we tested out 4 or 5 dogs that day. And at the end of the day, he was the dog that we picked that would best suit us.
Did you say he almost picked you?
Well, he was looking at me with those big eyes. And
he has a little something extra whenever he's on a drug search that really made him stand out. He has this awesome little growl. Our dogs are what we call passive response dogs. They sit down when they find a narcotic odor.
Okay.
And that's telling the handler where the drugs are. Well, not only does Ronnie sit down, but he gives us a and it's really unusual. It's very distinctive, but it made him stand out. That's another reason I think we really liked him.
Absolutely.
Did you have a similar experience, Mark, in picking out Brom?
Well, I did. It was several years ago. Brom had an 8-year service with the police department, but I did go up and test him out. He was demonstrated along with several other dogs at the kennels up in Indiana, and he was just really the best pick for me. He had such an outstanding personality, very approachable, but when it came time to do police work, Brom would turn on, and I always describe him as a crocodile with fur, because he would have this most awesome bite, controlled in getting criminals, and afterwards turn right around and be petted by everybody, school children. I even had a criminal one time after we had apprehended him, wanted to go out and pet him and tell me what a great dog he was, and I fully agree.
Well, I know that your dog, Mark, and we'll hear a little bit more later about Brom, was a Belgian Malinois. Rob, what breed is your dog?
It's also Belgian Malinois.
Okay. Is that particular breed especially good for the kind of work that these dogs are asked to do?
Absolutely. In police work, the Belgian Malinois is pretty well known. In the outside communities, most people mistake it for a German Shepherd.
German Shepherd.
Which it's a Belgian Malinois, in that their drive is a little higher, they're a little leaner, less hip problems, just a little better suited for police work.
Okay.
Are you the only canine officer on the force now?
No, we have two actually.
Okay.
Officer Mike C. Mack has a canine, and his dog's name is Reno.
And what kind of a dog is Reno?
He's a Dutch Shepherd. He's a solid black dog that looks, I mean, he looks like Ronnie, but he's black.
And what's he trained to do?
He's also a dual-purpose dog.
Oh, okay, just like.
Same work as what I do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The as we think about these dogs, now, do the dogs go home with you, or what's the method that you use for
Who takes care of them all 24
Yes.
hours?
Well, the big joke in my family is I see my dog more than I see anybody. He goes to work with me 8 hours a day, comes home with me the rest of the time, so I absolutely see him more than I see anybody else in my family. So, I mean, he's the best partner in the world to have.
And Mark, did similar experience with you?
Absolutely. Spend a lot of time with them and become very close with them. And sometimes you see them more than your children, just because you're with them 8 hours a day. And Brom listened to a lot of stories as I was driving around Paducah. We were looking for criminals, but he got to hear a lot of intimate details, and he told me some of his too. So we got very close.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And at home, around the rest of the family and so on, there are no problems?
Not with Brom.
No, Brom, or with, well,
Well,
sure.
I'm not married, so
Oh,
he
okay.
kind of has the roam of the house
he
and the roam
rules
of
the
the
real
yard.
estate.
So yeah, he kind of gets what he wants. So absolutely,
Well, okay.
So, but now, the dog stays with one officer, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, so if you were sick or something that day and didn't go to work, your dog wouldn't go to work, would he?
No, he would stay home, and he would probably be mad at me because he couldn't go to work. He enjoys going to work. When I come outside in uniform on and a leash in hand, he will start running around the yard, and he's ready to go. As soon as you open the gate, he runs right to the car and ready to get in. So
Oh, my word.
he knows his job, and just he knows when it's time to go to work, and misses when I don't. When I'm on vacation, he just paces the yard, just wanting to go to work. So.
I'm curious, what happens if a cat comes on the scene?
Well, actually, I have a cat at the house, and I'll bring Ronnie inside the house and lay him down, and my cat will actually come over and start playing with the dog, and Ronnie will just sit there. He's not aggressive towards other animals.
Wow. And what's your cat's name?
Action.
And what is it, a white cat or
It's a black house cat. Just
black house cat?
American house cat.
Oh, wow. Well, he picked a good friend.
That's for sure. Well, I think it's time for us to take a break at this point. And we have coming up for you viewers, Gesundheit, Wicket, a happy tale about a little dog named Libby. So let's give a listen.
Hi, my name is Libby, and I am a mixed lab and basset hound. I guess I'm about 3 years old. When I was a puppy, I was adopted by a very nice couple. But one day, I was hit by a car near my home and was taken to a vet hospital in Murray with a broken leg. As I was recovering, I was sure that someone from my family would come get me. But no one did, and I was so lonely and afraid. Finally, the hospital figured that I was abandoned, and they were going to have me put to sleep. Then miraculously, Robin came to the hospital, and she adopted me, and my life was saved. I now have a happy forever home, thanks to Robin and Kevin Butler.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that story about Libby. And it's such a great thing when someone takes the time and effort to rescue an animal that is likely to be euthanized. We want to remind our viewers also that our shows are now on the web at www.paducah2.org/video clips/animals. And there's always 4 shows up there at one time, and if you have a high-speed internet connection, then you can access that show, your favorite show up there anytime, day or night. So we hope that you'll take advantage of that. Well, we've been talking this afternoon with Mark Roberts and with Rob Hefner from the Paducah Police Department, and we found out a little bit about the kind of dogs that they have had and currently have. We're interested also now in what are some of the favorite stories that you have about experiences that you and your dog have had. So who wants to start, Rob or Mark at this point?
Well, I'll start.
Okay, Mark.
One that comes to mind is several years ago we had a burglary call. It was a business downtown near the Executive Inn. It was actually a bar at this time, in which someone broke in, smashed through the door, and the big machines that have the quarters in them that push it back and forth, they had smashed that open and had taken a whole bag full of quarters. We didn't know if someone was still in there, so I used Brom. We were clearing the bar, found out there was nobody in there, and about that time we got a report that a suspect matching a description who had been seen leaving there was downtown at the riverfront, right at where the train is. We responded down there, found a bicycle laying in the street there, so we knew he had in fact been there because that was the bicycle matching description, but nobody knew where he went. I got Brom out, and we actually went over to the train itself right there on Water Street, where other officers had already checked it because they thought he might have been hiding around the train.
And they couldn't find him.
They couldn't find him. I took Brom over, and he immediately dragged me about halfway down the train, up underneath one of the cars, and could not even see this guy. And that's where he was, wedged up on top of the wheels. And he complied very quickly when he knew there was a police dog that had found him. But he didn't have the money with him that he had stolen, the evidence. So what we do was called an article search, looking for something recently handled by humans with human scent on it. And I had no idea where this article would have been. So we started backtracking between the train and towards the direction where he had come from the burglary. We were on the riverside of the flood wall, and there's a zillion places to hide something there. Under the rocks, in the trash cans, everything. I used Brom, use his nose, which is why we use police dogs anyway, is their abilities that they have that we as humans don't have. And we walked 250, 300 yards. He's searching with his nose, and then all of a sudden went and took a dive underneath a big concrete planter that was up against the flood wall. Nothing unusual about it all because there were several others there, and underneath is where that man had stuffed this bag of quarters, the evidence from this burglary. And there was no way in the world we would have ever found that if it wasn't for Brom. It was just outstanding.
Oh my boy. How do you direct an animal, go find the bag of quarters? I mean,
it's all in. It's not looking for the bag of quarter. He's looking for something that was recently handled by human scent.
By that person.
Well, by the person. In a situation like this, you're going to have what they call fear scent. You've heard animals can smell fear. Well, there's a lot of adrenaline that is released when someone is very nervous like that. Obviously, running from the police after committing a burglary, his adrenaline level is going to be very high, and all that is going to be transferred to that bag of quarters. And Brom was able to use his nose and zero right in on it. I was just very impressed.
Scent was...
The scent.
Okay, all right, I'm with you.
On the person itself, he's still exuding scent while he was underneath the train car. That was an easy find for him because he's using his nose, not his eyes. The officers are using their eyes. But the scent coming off of the evidence that he found, that was just fantastic.
Oh, that's...
Goodness, what an interesting story.
Rob, what story do you have, or stories do you have to tell us?
Well, there's two or three that really stand out for me,
Okay.
and that I tell at every chance I get in the demos I do. One is where I assist the Dave unit detectives, the drug unit detectives, and they're out at a house searching it after a search warrant was executed, and they've searched this house for 3 to 4 hours, and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. And they call me out there, and I come out there and search the house. And 15 minutes after I got there, I found the active meth lab, which was hidden inside a false wall in the house itself. And it was just a matter of getting a hammer and going through the wall to find the void that was made. But I was there probably a total of 30 minutes, and they had searched the house for 3 to 4 hours. And I was walking out with, just smiling at them because, you should have called me first and you'd have saved a lot of time. I guess another one deals with, we were going after a known fugitive who had fled from us, and he had went into a trailer and wasn't coming out. And we'd gotten there, set up a perimeter on the trailer. I'd got there, announced myself several times, come out, Paducah police. And he just was not coming out, so I sent Ronnie in there to find him doing a building search. He goes into the back room, and I look and I see clothes flying from behind the wall past the door, Next thing you know, I hear the guy screaming. Well, the guy had hid under some clothes, and I had sent Ronnie in there, and Ronnie was removing the clothes to get down to the person that actually apprehended him, and the guy tried to fight Ronnie at that point. We got him handcuffed, took him outside, and the guy was actually saying how good of a dog he was and how appreciative he was, and he said he thought it was some other dog, but you know, the announcement I made was Paducah Police, and he was just commending on how well the job we did, and it was just strange coming from the guy that my dog just apprehended. But
Trying to get a little lesser charge, perhaps.
it didn't work, but yeah.
And you had another story you said you...
Recently, we were called into the city where the deputies had gotten to a altercation with a guy they were trying to arrest, and he had fought with them and ran off. And I happened to be 6 or 7 blocks away, and I responded to the scene, and the guy had dropped his coat. And
Cocaine.
coat and coke. Actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, they should coke. The cocaine too.
Yes, he had dropped approximately 12 grams of cocaine on the ground, and he also got pulled out of his coat while he was fighting with the deputies, and we started a track from there. Tracked to a house a block or so away, got the house surrounded and talked to the homeowner, and the guy was found inside the house, but Ronnie had tracked to it and started pawing at the door, and he had you know, located, you know, if he wouldn't have been able to track him, we probably wouldn't have found the guy. So it's another instance where we took a known felon off the street.
And with a minimum of difficulty, I might add, it sounds like, from these stories.
Absolutely, and you know, that's one thing that the dogs do provide. They provide safety for us because we can use him doing building searches, so we don't send an officer in there. If we'd went into that trailer apprehending the fugitive I was talking about, you know, the guy was armed with a knife and brass knuckles at the time. We didn't know it, but you know, it could have been a lot worse. But Ronnie was able to apprehend him without any officers getting hurt, and that's one of the primary things the dog's for, to keep officers safe.
Often just their mere presence has kept people from wanting to fight us. They know the dog's there, and they know they'll take care of business if it comes to it, and they don't want any of that.
Absolutely.
I think if I were in the burglar's shoes, I wouldn't want to fight him either.
No, not at all.
Well, now, I don't know if we made it clear, but now Brom passed away, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Brom is going to now be featured on our Forget Me Not on our show. So please listen up to this very, very special Forget Me Not about the late Brom.
Brom was a Belgian Malinois dog that came to the Paducah Police Department's K-9 unit when he was 5 years old. He was the first dog in the unit and quickly bonded with his handler, Mark Roberts. The two of them worked together for 8 years before Brom was retired from active duty. On several occasions, Brom's presence caused a pursued suspect to think twice before resisting arrest. Brom was responsible for locating a 32-pound cache of marijuana that was the largest seizure ever found by Paducah police. A prior police search had failed to uncover the cache that was located nearby. On another occasion, Brom tracked a criminal to his hiding place and then recovered a bag of money that had been stolen. Soon after retirement, Brom passed away, but he will never be forgotten. Thank you, Brom, for your service to the Paducah community.
Welcome back. We hope that you enjoyed that tale about Brom and what a wonderful dog he was for
That's
the
a great
Paducah.
story.
Oh, it certainly is. We'd like to return now to our guest, Mark Roberts, and to Rob Hefner.
Whoops, you forgot.
Yeah, I forgot.
That's right.
Okay.
It's our custom here on Forget Me Not that we make a donation to a not-for-profit animal agency. So Greg and I are donating a check to Project Hope No Kill Humane Society in Metropolis for a tile to be painted of Brom and to be put permanently over in the shelter as a reminder of this great dog. So we will make sure that Project Hope gets this and a picture of Brom so they can do the tile. So, Greg, if anybody is interested in giving us a Forget Me Not, they can contact us at
270-443-8330 or at Greg_Baur at Comcast.net. And we'd love to hear some stories from you about your favorite pet who may have passed away, and we would like to do the honor with them on the show.
And the only requirement is that a donation be made to the not-for-profit animal organization of your choice.
Somewhere here in the Paducah community,
Preferably.
or it
Right.
doesn't make any difference at that point.
That's right. So now let's continue.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you, Greg.
anyway, this afternoon we are visiting with Mark Roberts and Rob Hefner, and they have been telling us some wonderful stories about what the dogs have done. And Mark, you said you had another story or two about Brom that
About
you'd like
Brom.
to share with us.
Yeah, there's a criminal in town that will not forget Brom either. This criminal decided to break into a local pawn shop downtown on the Loop several years ago. He tripped an alarm unknowingly to him. Officers responded, surrounded it, and they told him that police K-9 was on the way, and he was taunting the officers and says, "Send that dog in here, I'll kill him." After other attempts to talk him out, he decided he didn't want to come out. We forced open the back door of this business to gain access to this criminal engaging in a burglary, and he assaulted an officer with a stick as the officer tried to get the door open. That's when we forced the door open and sent in Brom. He actually broke this stick, which was a large industrial-sized broom handle, one of the big thick ones, and he broke it over Brom's head as he came through. And it didn't faze Brom in the least bit. Brom apprehended the criminal, grasping him by the arm. The criminal was punching Brom in the face during this. And what made me so proud is Brom didn't back up a lick. It didn't hurt him in the least bit. He held that criminal until he was handcuffed and apprehended by the other officers outside, and he just did outstanding. I was so proud of him for that. All the people on the department, they'd always wanted to see Brom get hold of a bad guy. Well, he got hold of a bad guy in a big way, and but did exactly. And as soon as I told him to release, he released the bite, and then he went on to jail. So
I think that's a great sign of how well these dogs are trained.
Must
very
be
well
trained.
trained, and a very close bond between he and I, because I was right there with him the whole time.
Okay. Now, you mentioned this obviously was a very dangerous situation, and I'm sure that there are situations where there may be firearms or knives
suspect of a firearm.
that may be involved. What kind of protection is available for the dogs?
They do have what we call ballistic body armor,
Okay.
to what everybody in TV land would call bulletproof vests. But,
Okay.
what we call body armor, the Kevlar vests. Rob's dog currently has a vest that was donated,
Yes.
and if we suspect the dogs are going to be in danger, we'll always put that on to give them an extra measure of protection.
Okay.
Well, you know, after these dogs are in service and then they retire, what happens to them?
Well, we're actually fortunate enough to get to keep the dogs. I cannot imagine not being able to have my partner that I've rode around with religiously for years, but the department, we do retire them, and the department allows us to keep the dogs at home so that, you know, we still have our partner with us and our best friend most of the time.
Well, that just makes such a wonderful story.
That is a commitment.
And after listening to your stories, what the dogs add to the whole work that the police are trying to accomplish of getting criminals off the street and that sort of thing. And you find that they're especially good with drugs, aren't they? Tell us a little bit about how the dogs react with drugs and that sort of thing.
How are they are they trained to do that? I mean, I'm in awe of, you know, how do they do that?
It's all, actually what it is a game. You're looking for a dog that wants to play.
Okay.
And what we do is associate the odor of narcotics that we're wanting them to find with playing a game. And that game is they get a reward, which in our case is a tennis ball. So one of the things that people always ask, well, do you hook the dogs on drugs to get them to find it? And that is absolutely untrue.
Okay.
As far from the truth as it could possibly be. The dogs are never exposed to the drugs themselves because it's poison to them. But we actually carry antidotes that we get from our vet to give them in case they accidentally do come in contact with it. So it's, like I said, it's a game. They locate the odor of a narcotic and they sit, which our dogs are called passive response. That's telling the handler he's found the drugs, and then he gets his ball and gets to play. And a dog that wants to play, he can make a good drug dog.
It's all a game.
Oh,
Whenever
really?
they go to work, everybody's, you're being cruel to the animal, or, you're not treating them right, but it's a game. When he
Okay.
goes to work, he knows he's getting ready to have fun, and he's doing it to make me happy.
Absolutely.
When he does what he's supposed to do, he gets the reward, and that's all he bases on. He doesn't know he's out here finding drugs. He doesn't know what he's doing. Besides,
Right.
he's doing what he was trained, and what he was trained to do is, finding drugs or
Okay.
apprehending somebody, and that's fun for them because we make it fun. It's not like they have to go to work every day. They go to have fun.
And so the treat is to get to play with a tennis ball.
For
Absolutely.
prom, what's your dog's treat?
The same for Ronnie. Same for
Oh,
Ronnie.
okay.
And lots of praise from us.
Absolutely.
Because
They do it to make us happy.
Absolutely.
What do you do?
And
Throw the tennis ball and he fetches, or he just gets the tennis ball?
You throw it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a game. I mean, you have fun with them. When they do something good, you make them think it's the best thing in the world, and that will reinforce that's what they're supposed to do, and it'll just make them want to do it even more the next time.
What would happen if a thug threw him a tennis ball?
We've actually, I've had the opportunity of actually searching the vehicle where the guy or girl played tennis, and there was tennis balls in it. But it's different when they're just laying around than whenever we throw it, because when I
Right.
tell him to search
You
the car,
didn't
he goes
initiate
in
it.
to search it, and he'll bypass the tennis ball.
they're
But
focused on the task
Wow.
at hand.
They want to find
Whatever
if there
you-
is a drug in there. This particular vehicle, there were drugs in the vehicle, and when I threw him the ball, he went after mine instead of the other ones in the car. But it's the stimulus is whenever he finds it, you throw it to him, and he wants to chase and find the ball.
Oh, okay, okay. Do you have any idea how much training or how long these animals are trained before you get to select them?
Each dog is a little different.
Okay.
My dog was trained for probably 4 to 6 weeks before I got him. When I got him, I had to train another 5 weeks with him.
Okay.
And that's just to learn the basics with him, and then it's just continuous training throughout.
Wow.
I'm fortunate enough through the city, they provide me 2 weeks of training each year that I go with
Excellent,
Ronnie.
yes.
And one seminar I go to is called Street Survival for the Canine Officer, which teaches you
Fantastic.
different scenarios and helps you become a better canine officer.
Exactly.
That's in addition to monthly ongoing training.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. With monthly training, and then the extra training on top of it just makes it that much better. And certifications also.
Well, in our last 30 seconds, what final comment would you like to leave with our viewers?
I'm afraid I can't talk about Brahm anymore because I still get choked up about it when you were playing the Forget Me Not.
We understand.
Yes, we
And it
understand.
still gets to me, so
Yes.
he was just an excellent dog. I was very lucky to have him.
Well, then, Rob?
Ronnie's the best partner in the world, and it's hard to believe how attached you can get to your partner. And
We understand that, so.
Well, I think we're very fortunate to have Mark Roberts and Rob Hefner with us today,
And their
to-
dogs.
and to share their experiences. And Paducah is a much better community because of the work that you two fellows do, and we appreciate it very, very much. So,
And
Thanks for
thank
having
you
us.
so much for coming today
Yes.
and sharing this information with us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Greg,
yes, it's that
it
time
doesn't
again.
time fly.
It
It
sure
just
does.
really flies. So,
In closing, we would like to just say again that our thanks to the officers, and I'm Greg,
I'm Darlene.
and wanting our viewers to remember, give your pet a little extra love today and every day.
And don't forget to play with them also.
Absolutely.
Bye.
See you next time.